if you're brand new at trading, anyone can trade and make money. Like that's not a problem. The problem is keeping it.
Exactly.
That's so hard to do, man.
Yeah.
That's so hard to do. What's going on, everybody? You're in for a special treat. Recently, I went to Steamboat Springs, Colorado. And on Instagram, I asked a question, could you guess where I went? And only one person guessed correctly. And so I brought him on the show, Eric Robinson. He is on the show today, and we just have a conversation, just talk. This is not an interview. This is very different than normal. Although you will see my screen in some parts of this video where we share trades and just talk about trading in general. So I really hope you like this. And if you want to be part of the next one, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, comment below, and make sure to subscribe to the podcast. You guys take care. Well, first off, that's awesome, man. I appreciate you staying in touch with the show, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, dude. You provide pretty damn good value, honestly. It's kind of like, trading. I've been trading. Well, I say I've been trading. I've been in the game per se since the end of 2016.
Yeah.
And I had the opportunity to see the different growth that trading has overcome or whatnot. And now it's just, I don't know. Now it's like, I feel like people are making trading sort of like have a bad rap in a way, you know what I mean? Like there's so much volume. There's so many people out there that are like, oh, just buy this because nobody sells except for short sellers. It's the most dumb shit ever.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't know. It's just the market that we're in,
It's because, I don't know if you know this too, but man, there's a lot of YouTubers coming out of the woodwork now.
That's
a lot
another thing too.
And they have huge followings. And I'm like, how the hell are they? Yeah. First of all, I'm like, what? I'm doing something wrong. And then secondly, I'm like, holy crap! Like these guys, I've never heard of in my life. Yep. Came out of nowhere. You could look at their history. They just started like middle last year, some shit. And now they're telling people this is what you need to buy. And they say things like this, like no joke. Like they'll say, hey, thank you for watching the show. I watch everyone because I want to see who's out there. And I'm like, they're like, thanks for watching the show. You know what we're about. We're about buying stocks. And when we buy stocks, there's stocks that always give us wins. We don't take losses. We always win. So here's the stock we're buying today. And I'm like, what are you saying? I'm like, this is not real. So it frustrates me. It definitely.
So when I started trading, I kind of went the weird way of like, I wanted to learn everything about the platform and learn the concept of trading. So I started out with Thinkorswim, and then I thought you needed a bunch of scanners because that was a thing at the time. So I just started making a shitload of scanners and indicators and whatnot and making custom scans and all that. So I tried to mimic Ross Cameron's, one of his scanners on Trade Ideas. I tried to mimic that into Thinkorswim. Of course, Thinkorswim's way slower. So I would make YouTube videos about how to do that sort of thing. And it comes to a point where it's like, you have to decide within yourself if you want to become a piece of shit. And that's the kind of YouTube channel you want to have. It's like, you're fake. You're paper trading, you're fake. You're saying, buy this, do this, but you're really not making any money. Or you could just...
Oh, you're making money off of subscribers.
So like you have what, like 7,000 subscribers, right?
85, yeah.
I have like 600. But there's, like you were saying earlier, there's people out there that have like 10,000, 20,000, but they're the ones who are like, I'm not a financial advisor, but you should buy this, or you should do this. That's where it's like the pathways. You got to decide which one you're going to go down, which one you're not going to go down. Yeah. I was like the one who's like, I'm not going to go down that road because I would never, I don't like that kind of personality person. Yes. You know what I mean?
I talk about this on the show a while back, I think. Maybe not, but I plan to talk about it in the future. You said it perfectly. Like, as an educator, as an entertainer, as a trader, like, I don't think I'm an educator. I think I'm more of I just like to help. I just like to do as much as I can to help.
Yeah.
And I wanted to change. I still want to. That's my mission, is to change the trading community. I think there's a lot of, like you said at the beginning, there's a lot of bad rep, and there's a lot of people out there who may be real, maybe not. I don't care. I just know that how they teach is not proper in my perspective, but also I have a feeling like half of them don't know how to teach. There's another half that may know how to teach, but don't really want to put the effort in. So they just kind of half-ass it. And so therefore you don't really get the full picture. Now, both may be good-hearted, or maybe some of them are not good-hearted. But I also have known that when you take the path that is easy, which is, and because I could easily, like anybody could start a room and say, buy these things. And if you start that path, it's really, even if you do it for good, like even if you're like, I'm going to be the best teacher, because I'm sure everyone out there did that. Like, I want to be a great teacher. I could do better than these people. I'm sure it's easy, but you know that little saying, like on Batman Dark Knight, like you're so good. Like if you're long enough, you become the bad guy. What was that saying that they say in Dark Knight? Like if the White Knight becomes the Dark Knight in the end, or like the, you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know.
Yeah. Like if you're the hero long enough, you eventually become the villain or something. I don't know. But all I know is that, like, if you go down that path, then eventually what I've noticed on a lot of traders too, like a lot of the ones I've seen who started off with a good chat room, eventually weaned towards only focused on growing the chat room rather than helping. And so like that really frustrates me. And that's why I'm like, you know what, man, like I'm praying to God that I just stay doing what I'm doing. I just want to stay focused and I just continue to change. I want to change everyone's mindset and be like, yo, hopefully I can create enough content where you don't have to pay for anything and you just watch and you just have a good time and you learn and you can grow and be consistent. Because at the end of the day, dude, everyone trades different. And at the end of the day, like all those fucking teachers, even me, like if I'm helping out my buddy right now, I'm showing him how to trade. At the end of the day, like he's going to find his own way. Like no one trades the same at all. Yeah. I don't care who you are. So like there is no one way. You got to figure out what your weaknesses are, what your struggles are, and then make a strategy that works with you. Yeah. So I don't know. All I know is like my goal has always been to continue to just be on that other road. That other road. It's a longer road for sure. Because like I don't.
You're doing it proper. It's like you're starting a business from the ground up the correct way. You know. Yeah. So I mean, you could look at it like that.
And I want to be able to show my face and talk to you and go out in the street. And if I meet someone, they're like, "Yo, man, thank you," instead of "Yo, man, I bought your shit." You know what I'm saying? Like I want that good reputation where, and I got haters for sure. I got haters, but like at the same time, like I know from deep down in my heart, I'm doing the best I can and doing in the best interest of you. That's what I'm thinking about. Yep. And that's all I care about.
I agree. 100%. I think I just agree. I mean, I think as soon as the market shifts to a 2018, 2019 market, that's whenever things are going to change. That's whenever all these chat rooms, all these Discord rooms, all these YouTube channels are going to go away. They're not going to know what to do. And you're going to still be here. And that's when people are going to realize, damn, Nate knew what he was talking about. Damn, Alex knew what he was talking about. And it's not like that they have to accept you know what you're talking about. Sure. It's that you just have to think maybe they're just taking a certain piece of the, okay, the move is up, the move goes down. They took this particular move. Whereas nowadays it's like, he's just saying, go short here because he wants to pump it short. It's like, dude, that's not a thing. It's not a thing to pump that's not a thing, But, their ultimate thing is like every penny stock's going to go up. And it's like, that's just not a thing. It's never been a thing until 2020. It's never been a damn thing.
And quite frankly, I mean, I know a lot of people who have blown up their accounts still. And because I get so many messages, man, of people who say like, hey man, I thought I've been killing it. Like they'll watch, cause I try to speak, it's taken me forever to have somewhat consistent, right? Like it took me, I had my first year consistency last year. Like it took me 3.5 years to do. And that's because I have a very hard head and because at first I just wasn't taking it serious. And at the end of the day, it just took me a while. And I'm still not where I want to be. Like I'm still finding ways to improve where I'm doing a whole new I completely revamped how I trade.
Yeah.
And I sized all the way back down to do that. And now I'm learning a whole new way, which I fucking love.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's wonderful because the reason it's wonderful is because I used to only trade like a couple of setups and strategies. And it would be like maybe on a busy month, a week would give me maybe like 3, 4, maybe 5 trades a week, like 1 trade a day. And then I had months where I would trade literally like 5 times a month, like, and I was like, fuck, like I was consistent and I was making money, but I was like, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And so now I'm working on the Speedway where like today I placed 6 trades, like, and so like it's more consistent in terms of plays. And so it's just, I don't even know where the hell I was going with that rant, but I think what were we even talking about just now? So, but you mentioned like in 2000, when we go back to a different market, which I don't know if we will, I don't know, but I know,
I agree.
I know that right now, dude, the market is so different, and it's so different to where I think eventually the volume will settle down because the volume. Right now, I mean, we just keep putting more money into the market, like stimulus checks. Every fucking 6 months, we get a new stimulus check, and guess what happens? No joke. Oh, and that's what I was saying. I get DMs from people who watch episodes where I'm talking about, man, like you're not consistent because I thought I was consistent because I had 3 months of green, and then all of a sudden I just blew up, But like I'll get messages of people who think they're consistent after 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and I'm like, yo, like. You haven't seen anything. And I was like, there's so much you don't know as a young trader. Like, sure, like you might have good returns. That's fine. I don't care. Like, that's why I don't talk about P&L. I don't give a shit if you make 100 grand in a year, 5 grand in a year, $1 million grand. I don't care who you are, because like, if you're brand new at trading, anyone can trade and make money. Like that's not a problem. The problem is keeping it.
Exactly.
That's so hard to do, man. Yeah. That's so hard to do. Like, you know how many months I had where I fucking killed it. And I was like, yo, I just made a sick ass month. And guess what? I did that for 2-3 months. And then I lost almost all of that in like 1 week because of bad habits or things I didn't know that I should have known. I really had no idea to know, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't hold that short overnight, or oh, maybe I shouldn't, short something that is like halting and it's a low float, micro float, and it's already rotated 3 times. Like maybe I should wait until the turn. Like all of that. Like so many people don't know that. So everyone's a get rich quick. And you know what frustrates me, man, the most? And I'm sorry, I'm over here talking over. And I know this is my bad. I'm gonna let you go now.
No, you're good, bro. I'm just here listening, dude.
You know, it's frustrating. It's this, and when someone has a quick success in a month or 2 months, and they're like, "Yo, I'm doing so good. I just made the biggest return." Paid for this service already. Everything's going good. And then that guru shows them to the world and says, yo, this is how you can do it. In 1 month, they're profitable. And I'm like, yo, you're showing the wrong lesson, dude. Like, he's not profitable. Like, it's 1 month. Like, now, if you said, hey, he's profitable for his first month. Now, keep in mind, we don't know how things are going to pan out. We got to, hopefully, if he keeps this up, he'll continue to be profitable. Yeah. But genuinely, you want to be profitable for at least 6 months, but I say a year, so you can really be like, yo, I'm consistent, because, and that's where I think people just, man, it really sickens me when it's just how some people, I don't know, I just get frustrated.
I agree. I think I used to trade, well, I mean, I went down the rabbit hole of, the multiple gurus. I never got
me too
on the Tim Sykes train. Mm-hmm. I mean, I watched a couple videos, but that was just basically learn bid ask kind of stuff. I went down the rabbit hole of the rest of them. Essentially, you got Dekmar, you got Ross, I never really got into IU, and I kind of wish I started with IU because I would have learned, support resistance and all the stuff that actually matters.
Yeah.
But I never got in that. I watched Tim Grittani, pretty much learned from everybody. I kind of just learned took a little bit from everybody, right?
Me too.
And throughout, I guess 2018, 2019, it was kind of like I was just chasing my tail, trying to figure out, if I'm going to discretionary trade, how am I going to do it? I never thought down the line of like 10 trades from now, 20 trades from now. It was always this trade or next trade kind of mindset. So it was more like, I don't want to lose on this trade. Where should I place the trade? Where should I get out or get in on this trade? And it's just like, you kind of have to systematically develop a discretionary system to where you do the same thing every time on the setups. And I don't trade discretionary at this point in time because it's just, I feel like it would be easier, if you use less size, because then you have multiple bullets depending on your system, right? I don't know. I'm just saying I don't do discretionary, right? And that's because I never felt like I could be consistently profitable at it. It goes along the lines of like, if you're systematic to where it's like you have it down to a system, it's really hard to get it risk reward because you kind of have to group all the trades into one setting, have a certain risk for each one of those, have a certain entry and exit. And the odds of you developing a good risk reward strategy out of that is like, dude, it's crazy. I haven't done that. It's a high win rate, not super low risk reward, but it's about 0.61 or 0.6 R to 1,
Yeah. And I used to be completely against that a long time ago. And I think I was wrong for that because I used to only be about 3 to 1 always. I used to be like that. And I've met so many people. I met so many people through the show, right? And interviewed so many that, dude, there's people who just are 1 to 1. There's people who are 0.6 to 1. There's people who just have a high ass win rate and just don't care if they lose more than they win because they win so much.
Right.
And I've met people like that. And I'm like, I was scratching my head like, yo, like, I was like, that's completely opposite of me. And so, but it's just showed me that, dude, it's just, you just got to know what works for you. And that's all that matters. And that's so hard. You can't I think what you can teach in trading is the fundamentals, just like basketball, just like baseball, just like football, martial arts, like everything. You learn the fundamentals, but you don't mimic someone. You kind of mold it into yourself and figure out what you're good at, right? Like like in martial arts, I was really sick at a roundhouse kick and a spin back kick. So, but I was not very good at like high kicks. I was straight up. And so if I fought someone, I relied on the reverse back kick. Like I would jump in the air. Like I was good at that. Whereas other people were really good with their hands. So they would just like try to come in. Like everyone has their strengths. And so like, you just got to lean towards that. But I just think that whole risk reward ratio, I think it's not as important as I thought it was.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like
it's important.
You can see how having a 3 to 1 is like, I mean, you literally have to lose 3 times to break even. You know what I mean?
But
if you win the one time, you lose 3 times, you're even, Yeah.
And that's great. Like I used to do that all the time and it was great. But I think if I want to stick like that, excuse me, I can because I've built myself to where I can wait all day for a trade. But I got rid of that recently. Now I just trade different. But like what I'll say is the amount of people who can actually sit on their hands and only place 5 trades for the whole month, even though they have well over PDT and they can trade, is very, very, very fucking small. So like it's just not. I just think what's important when it comes to learning how to trade now is just, hey, you need to understand risk management. And I think risk management really is, it's like I've getting better and better at risk management as I've traded. and risk management, it's simple to hear. It's like, oh, lose less, win more, or making sure that you have a proper stop and a proper profit target. making sure you have a plan. Sure, that's what risk management means. But what people don't talk about is that risk management is constantly changing while you're in the trade. And so it's not set in stone when you get in. And when you get in, you have the plan. But as a trade evolves, your risk management needs to mold with it. And like people talk about that. And it's really hard to explain too. Like, because people, and I'm those people, I'm that person who is very black and white. Like, I'm like, okay, if I have my stop here, then here. Like, if you look at my old trades on Tandem Trading, I made a series where I would just my screen. I would just keep it and I'll hold it no matter what and just let it ride all the way down short and I would never change my risk. And it worked. But I can tell you that I've learned now that, dude, like risk management is constantly changing throughout the trade. Like if I'm in a trade for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, then I need to reanalyze that trade and see what's happening now. Like, what do I see right now? Am I still correct? Is there any negative signs? And then 2 hours later, like I'm looking at it again, like what's going on? Like, am I still correct? Do I need to adjust? Do I need to add? Like, does it make sense to add at a spot? And so like, it's constantly evolving. And I think that part is so hard to learn. Like, that's where I'm at with this new strategy. This new strategy, like I've gotten it all down and now I'm just working on sizing. Like I'm working on when do I size the right way, the proper way at the right time. And where am I taking profits at the best time? And no longer am I stuck in the idea of, I can only take profits when it's 3-1 because that doesn't work. That, or at least for me anymore in this way. Like when I'm more of a technical, really, I'm just a technical trader at the end of the day. I don't use any fundamentals. I just use support resistance. Obviously, volume is always involved, and I'll draw trend lines. That's it. And I do everything manually. I don't have anything. My screens are completely clean until I draw something, and then that's pretty much it. And that works for me because that's how I can. For some reason, that's comfortable. I'm comfortable with that. But like, if I see a screen, and I have nothing against this, but if I see a screen with like EMAs, VWAP, and all that, I'm like, what the fuck? I don't know what to look at. I just can't look at it. So, but it just doesn't work for me. But I have friends who do trade like that. And I'm like, cool, that's for you, but it's not for me.
Right.
But yeah.
I agree with that. I think it also comes down to, if you're a systems-based trader, let's say, you could argue that if you back tested over a whole year of different trades, different setups, that your risk in theory would remain the same, and that would develop into your P&L based on your back test, unless you went in and changed it and said, okay, after 2 p.m. or after 3 p.m. I would move my risk down to a certain level, and that would be where I would stop out. But with that being said, it's kind of like, I understand it's where place your stop where you're wrong kind of thing, right?
Yes, that's all you
but that's also can be if you're shorting an all day fader, what is that ideal all day fader supposed to be? Is that supposed to be a straight down? Is that supposed to be a down up down? And then within that down up down, that could have, the whole thing could be an all day fader, but then the down up could be a certain different pattern where that pattern would be, you would be wrong if you would have played that pattern, but if you're playing an all-day fader setup, you could still be right. So do you keep the same risk or do you move the risk? Do you add? And it's just one of those, you just always have to evolve your strategy, your system. You have to be open-minded to the different market per se. And that's the thing that I've been trying to realize is like, if what's worked last February may not be the same this February. What worked last month may not work this month, that kind of thing. So if you develop a system or a strategy, did you back test it? And if you back tested it with numbers, how did you filter out the certain ones that you filtered out to not take or to stop out on? And then to keep that in mind going forward and trying to figure out what you need to filter out potentially going forward, if that makes any sense.
No, it does. It's just, dude, that is good luck.
No, dude, I think it was mid-year last year. Okay. I was trading essentially just resistance-based resistance lines. I was trying to do a systematic, just short at resistance, look for the fade. So it was always going to have to be on a pop. I would be entering it. I would never get in at the open until I got turned on to spikeheat.com. And I just downloaded a whole shitload of data and just went through all the gappers from, I think it was like 20% and up for the whole year. Because if you're doing it on your own, you're trying to track each day. What gap 20%, what didn't gap, dude, you're going to miss it, because sometimes if you're using Thinkorswim, they won't show up some things. If you're using Trade Ideas, mostly they will show up. But Spikeheat seems to generally get everything. They may miss a few here and there, but they generally get everything. So you have a good base of, this is potentially what I would have seen every single day, you know, and just went through that and filtered out. And the one thing that I haven't heard, and this is different from 2019 and 2018, because this didn't really occur then. In 2020, what I've noticed is, with all this volume that we've been, had in the market, if you're looking to an all-day, and I consider an all-day fader to be something that pops up then fades, or ideally fades right at the open. Nothing where it's like, doing this, or it may fail and then, or spike up 50% and then fail. Like, that's not an all-day fader to me. An all-day fader is whenever it may spike up 10% and then close, 20% up, or maybe even red on the day. Nobody talks about, what did it do the days leading into the gap day? Was it doing nothing? Was it coming off of, a recent run, a recent huge gap where there's back holders? But I think there's something note that, if it did something prior day, or it doesn't have to be like a huge gap. It could just be like a little perk, or, grinds into the gap day. That could just be an indication that maybe there's a bigger player in the stock. So, I mean, if you look at today, you had DPW basically gapped up yesterday. It was like 20%, maybe less, but it didn't fade. I mean, it closed 80%, or no, 8%, 80 cents.
You mean today, right?
Off its open, yeah. Yeah, DPW that gapped yesterday wasn't a clean fade to me. You have DTSS where it did some weird little pop. You could consider it a gap maybe, and it ran, and then one could consider that an all-day fade, but I don't consider that an all-day fade, No,
that's not. I mean, that thing squeezed a 575 and then faded. And
then you have CNET where it's coming off of a recent run with a bunch of bag holders.
Right.
Pretty much an easy fade. And then you have EXPR. Dude, it didn't do anything leading into the gap, and it faded nicely.
Yep.
So it's one of those things, and you have to be cognizant of it, trying to decipher, what did it do? Is this something to note, or did it do nothing leading into the gap day?
I guess I'm missing your point. What's your point, though?
Point is if it did something leading into it, it's more likely it's not going to be a clean fade. And that's just something that, I've noticed. I don't, I could be crazy, but I'm just saying it could be something to note,
Yeah. No, I gotcha. No, you know what? You said something about, is what I'm doing now this month going to work next month? And is the pattern that worked last month, going to be different this month, and so forth? And I think, dude, I think it's, I think shit's always changing.
It is.
I think shit's always changing. And I think that's why there was a lot of frustration for me at first, where I would like, oh, I got this pattern. Like, I think thinking only in patterns, I think trading's too complicated to just think that it's as simple as one pattern. I think it's a pattern, a picture, the big picture, volume. I think it's like putting everything together. It's like a big ass puzzle that maybe has 5 pieces only, right? Like a big puzzle. And like this piece is volume, and like this piece is what's happened in the past like 40 days or 30 days. This piece is what is currently happening. Like, is it a pattern right now, intraday, pre-market? And then this piece is news. This piece is like maybe like warrants or whatever. And then you're kind of like, okay, what is that? All these pieces together. And then this right here is just sentiment. Like what has been happening in the market. And then you're just like, okay, with everything that's happening, what the hell is this telling me? Is this a long? Is this a short? And I think that's constantly changing because right now people are taught. I was taught, here's a pattern, just trade this pattern, you'll make a lot of money. It just didn't work that way for me. So.
No, because patterns changed.
Yeah,
that's the problem I had. It's like, I'm just going to look for this pattern. And then it's like, well, this kind of looks like that. I'm not going to take it because it doesn't look like that. And then it ends up working. It's like, well, shit, maybe that was it. And then you're like, well, damn, was I too picky on this Head and Shoulders that didn't look like a Head and Shoulders, but it was a head, that kind of shit.
Yeah, I think it's and that's what's frustrating, man, because like it's like the more I trade, the simpler it becomes in terms of like it's easier to put it together, but the complications, like I still make mistakes. Like I'm still like, oh shit, like I shouldn't have long that because like that one I just completely like there's every once in a while there's a lapse of judgment. Like I'll be like, oh, like that one's a fucking $1 stock. And I thought I had massive volume. I think it was today. I think I traded TNXP. I think it was. I longed it at like I thought it was great. I got it at 96 cents on the dip. And I was like, awesome. I'm going to get in this. And at the time I was like, I was fucking confident as hell. And I felt good. And I said, you know what? Volume's great. Because I was trading other stocks. I was trading Tesla, NEO, where those are big ass fucking stocks that cost a lot of money. So therefore, if they trade 50 million shares, it's amazing. And so I was just lost in that mindset of like, 20 million or a million shares pre-market. That's great but I forgot that this is $1 stock. Like this has no fucking range. Like what am I doing? And so like when I lost on that, I was like, oh, like that makes sense. Like, I took a step back. I was like, why was I even trading that? So, but when those are the things that it's simple to understand once you've done it for a long time, but there's so much to understand that it's easy to miss a piece when you're in a certain area. Like if you're trading big caps for a while and then you go to a small cap, there's differences there. And it's just, I think that's what makes trading so unique and so fun to pursue because like I'm constantly like, better and better and better and better, like you're getting better and better. And then dude, I talked to like Nate and all them and I'll talk to them on the phone and I'll be like, they'll be telling me how their day has been. And it's funny when I'm on the phone with them, they'll be saying things like, man, like I learned a lot today. Like this and stuff like that. I'm like, and it's just crazy because they've been trading for 2 decades and I've been trading for only 3 years or 4 years, 3.5, whatever, 4. And then, and they'll be like, it's inspiring because I'll talk to Phil and Phil's like, man, it's been a crazy market. And he'll take losses too. Like there's losses that these guys take that sometimes they break their rules and they'll tell me like, I broke my rules and I just held this. I knew I shouldn't hold it, but I did. And so it just like helps alleviate, like no one is going to be perfect.
Oh yeah.
And you're always going to make sometimes you'll make mistakes, but I think what I've learned is that they can forgive themselves like right away. Mm-hmm. Like they just say, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. And then they keep going. Whereas I used to, like not anymore. I'm getting way better at it because over time, but I used to be like get just like a dark cloud if I fucking made a mistake. And I was like, oh, I should have known that. Like, oh no, that I shouldn't have shorted that. Like it would make me so mad. Not that I lost money, but because I was wrong.
Right.
And because I thought I just had this perfectionism because I had this impression that Tim Grittani was a perfectionist and he was so good at trading. And then that's what made him good and so forth. And dude, Tim Grittani makes stupid ass mistakes all the time. Yeah. And I was just talking to him the other day and he makes some mistakes. I would have thought, I'm like, what? And I was like, no way. I was like, and I had the question. I was like, dude, you're fucking joking. That did not happen. He's like, no, it fucking happened. I was like, that's awesome because it's good to hear that you're fucking human.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Yeah, and it's just like I don't know. I don't even know where this guy is on that topic. But yeah. So you were saying that. So what kind of trader are you? What would you say you are?
Systems, like I pretty much all my so this week I've traded 4 trades.
Yeah.
And essentially it's just short at the open, risk a certain percent over pre-market high, and then look to cover at the end of the day.
Dude, I used to do that, and that works really well, right? Yeah. It works really well.
It works well. You just have to follow. You have to know, it's not that you have to know. It's just that you have to just. If you would have avoided it or taken it on the back test, mimic that going forward. That's the only thing that you can do to try to make it as black and white as you can. And that's the only, that's the one of the toughest things you can do, because you get into certain rhythms where it's like, damn, I've been hot as shit lately. Let me just, throw a couple haymakers out there and take these that probably wouldn't have included, or, aren't, let's say 70%, I would take that. And then you end up losing. It's like, well, fuck, I shouldn't have taken it. Right.
Yeah. I had a setup that was just like that. I would short gappers that were I tracked gap when I used to track everything, and then I used to like put formulas to determine the percentage of odds, and I found out for me that gappers, anything above 50% that gapped up, first day gap up 50% or more, the chances of it, I can't remember the exact statistics, but I think it was like the chances of it breaking the high day, even if it was a pre-market high, were really low. And if it did break it wouldn't break it more than, I think it was like 5 or 10% that I would short at high day. I would short all the time at high day and give me stuff like a 10% or 5%. I forgot which one it was, wiggle room. And I would just hold it. And then I would just ride that bitch all the way down. I was just like, oh my God, this is like crazy. And then for some period of time, whether it was like, I think a month or 2 months, that shit did not work.
No, yeah, agreed.
It did not work. Like I was like, oh, but one thing I'm very thankful for, I don't have a problem cutting losses at all. I never hold back holds. I just don't do that. So I never took big losses, but I was just like, shit, like I'm losing multiple times in a row now. And I had a strategy that is 3-to-1, and I would just trade like you, like maybe 4 times a week or something like that. And so it was good until it wasn't. And now I realized it wasn't really for me anymore, because I knew something was missing for me, and I'm hoping I found it, where I just felt like it was a great experience, because it taught me how to be disciplined. It taught me how to hold.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It taught me how to just hold something that bounced all the way back up and then came all the way back down. Dude,
how pissed were you when those motherfuckers bounce on you?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you just have to leave the fucking room because you're just going to do something ignorant,
Yeah. So like I would be in a stock, let's say the high day was $6. I'd be short like 585, 590. And then it came all the way down to like 550. And I'd be up good. I'd be like, all right, cool. But there's still plenty of room. It's up from like $2. I'm like, I'm staying in this thing. And then I go to the gym, and then I come back, and it's now it's like 585. And I'm like, are you kidding me? It came all the way back. But you know how many times back in the day I used to cut it because I was scared, and then I see it later go all the way back down to 4, So like now that taught me I would hold it anyway, and then it would just go all the way down. And then I took those profits. I would have like a 4-to-1 winner, a 5-to-1 winner. I was like, holy crap, I've never had this. And so that experience has helped me become where I am now, where now like I can hold trades. Not ever if it goes against my plan, but like I can hold trades through fucking rides as long as it's in my plan, as long as it's in my wheelhouse and I'm familiar. Like now I just ask the question of this. Back then I used to ask the question of where should I risk? Like, should I risk off of here? But now I constantly ask the question, which you brought up earlier. I constantly just ask this. Where am I wrong? That's it. And then I say, okay, if I try to visualize it, okay, if the stock goes here, would that look completely weird and just be wrong? And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. That's my risk. And then I'm like, okay, 30 minutes later, okay, where the hell am I wrong? It's probably still there because it hasn't been that long. Okay, cool. An hour. And I'm like, all right, it's developed. where am I wrong? And then I'm like, oh, and then that lines up with a nice resistance area. Perfect. Let's risk off of that. But now I used to only look at, back in the day though, I used to only look at where's resistance at. And when I ask that question, sometimes resistance, I mean, there's so many resistance levels. And so sometimes, there's certain resistance levels that are more important than others. And so, depending on the time frame you're using too. And so like, I used to only ask where's the resistance? And then really what I was asking is, where can I protect my profits? You know what I'm saying? And so I would make my decisions based off really that. And then therefore I'd cut my profits shorter and then it would go down further. So I just, all I know is like, I mean, for me, it's taught me a lot. And it's been cool, man. What I love the most about trading is really, at least for me, like I started to find my consistency whenever I personally had money growing elsewhere. And
I agree with that. That's probably
because I don't know if you know my story, but I left my job cold turkey, and I had a great career. I was a partner at a firm in Dallas, and then I left. And
you feel stupid saying it, huh?
Yeah.
No shame, bro. No shame.
I was the youngest one in that company as a partner. I think I was 25, 26. I left cold turkey, or 26, 27. I don't remember, but I left cold turkey. It's on my LinkedIn if you ever want to find it. I left cold turkey, and then I didn't even have consistency. I just fucking left cold turkey. Okay. I saved up a year's worth of income and I was like, I'm out. And then failed completely. I didn't make no money. In fact, I lost money. And then I was like, oh my God, like, and I was questioning everything about me. So I was like, what the hell did I just do? Like, I just left a job that people would kill for. And so luckily a competitor called me and hired me as a VP of their firm, which is a much bigger firm. And I was like, oh shit, I got lucky. I left them cold turkey, failed again. And that time I just failed in terms of I broke even. I was like, okay, cool. I'm feeling it. Like at least I didn't lose money, but I'm still not there. And then I went back to work with that same company who hired me the second time. I went back to them and then left within a couple of months. And I said, I hate this shit. I didn't like it. I said, I want to trade, but I'm not going to be dumb anymore personally, because I was personally being that way. And I was like, I'm going to find a job that at least will help me make ends meet. And so I still had a year's worth saved, or almost a year's worth at that time. I think I had 7 months worth saved. And then I said, I'm going to pick up a job that is 75% pay cut and that will pay bills. And then that way I at least have that. And I have a big cushion that I will never touch, but at least it's there. And so, and I did that. And then I started to find consistency, like pretty fucking quick. It was pretty wild. And that's because that year that I left the second time, I broke even. That's because I was finding it, I was winning. And then I was mainly like sideways. Like I would win, lose, and stay here, win, lose, and stay here. And I was like, okay. And so I just eliminated all the bad trades and then I found my consistency. I started making money. I was like, okay, cool. And that's when I only did short selling. That's all I did. And then,
dude, I remember like when you first started interviewing people, you had this like, I would never do that. Like, that's not my thing. You would tell the other person that, but you were totally like, I don't remember when it was, but you were like totally different now. And I don't remember who you were talking to. It was at the beginning and it was just like, you were just dead set. That's just, I would never long. I would never do that.
Oh yeah.
We just like shut it off. And I'm like, motherfucker, dude, just be open. And now you're like open as fuck to like everybody. And it's like, dude, I'm so glad like you flipped that. Yeah. I mean, I'm guilty of it sometimes, but it's different to see it than to know you're doing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to explain, but
I know what you mean.
I thought it was good whenever you did that. And it was like, dude, he's like improving, you know?
Yeah. Thanks, man. I longed DTSS today on that breakout and
you motherfucker.
Yeah. And like, I would never long. And so like, I realized I missed out on so much. I longed at like 440 and then I sold all the way up. And my last.
What was the reason you longed it?
I longed it because if you look at it, here, I'll show you. Let me show you this. Okay. So I long this stock a couple of reasons. So first off, on the daily, I mean, at first I was like, man, this thing's a fucking piece of shit. Like this thing, look at this. Like every spike fails horribly, but it does spike.
Right.
You know, it does spike. And then this one's the first time it died right at the open, but it did spike a little bit. And then, so I remembered that because at first I shorted it too. So I'll explain that. Look, I went like this. Like I said, at first I saw this. I said, you know what? As soon as this rejected with this volume, I thought, oh, we're done. Like this is what I saw. I said, I said, we're done, right? I saw this. I was just sitting back watching. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to short it yet, but when I saw this candle, I took a half position because I knew I was chasing. So I took some at $4. Yep. And I was like, all right, cool. Well, I'm risking 444, 450. And I said, you know what? This should work. But then whenever I started to see this happen at 390, I was like, man, this thing's not even budging. And then I had an order sitting here to add full size 430s. But then whenever we started to go up to 420 with some volume, I did this.
Trend line. Yeah.
Yep. And then I did this. And then I ended up saying, if you look on the, I have DAS up too for my executions. On DAS is the only part that has VWAP there, which I never trade off of VWAP ever. I only look at these screens. However, I have it on DAS because on the slim occasions that this right here lines up with this and VWAP, I'm aware. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so when I saw that, I covered right here at 420, longed it, and then longed more right here, and then started selling. But the main reason is because, first off, if I shorted it, I know a fuck ton of people are shorting it. And then second off, I was like, this already rotated its float. What was the float on this? It was like, let's see. I know it rotated by that time. It was 5 million float. So it was a 5 million float. And then you look at this freaking 30-minute. Let's look at the 30-minute. So in the first 30 minutes, we traded 14, 10. So we traded 35, 31, 32 million shares. So I was like, okay, I've seen this over when we've all seen this. Like when something's rotated so many times and we're not breaking down and we had signs of a potential top, but we have actually an ascending triangle right here. We have a flat top and an ascending triangle, and we have a trend, and we have support that's 390s, and we had VWAP right around here at 4. I said, you know what? There's a lot of reasons to be in this. So I just covered, and I barely, like if I was I sized in half size for 450s. So, and I cut at 420. So it was small. And then I ended up longing at 420 and then adding right here on the break and then selling all the way up. So, and then I sold my last quarter for break even because I was hoping this was going to be the one that was going to hold, but instead we didn't. And I was actually holding till 446 actually, because I wanted to see if it'd hold this breakout, but we didn't. And so I cut it the last quarter. But yeah, so it wasn't just because the trend line, but there was a lot of things adding up, together that really had me convicted. And I would never long, dude. I called my buddy Scott and I was like, yo, like, would you believe I was long DTSS? He's like, you what? Because he was pissed because he was watching it, but he missed it because he was in another trade. And I was like, he's like, damn. But it's just like, yeah, man, you're right. I used to be not as open-minded. Now I'm trying to be more, because like I think the show's really helped me a lot because I've just met too many people who found success. And dude, I just interviewed someone named Sandro. He's Splendoras on Twitter. Splendoras. Okay. The guy, he used to be in Investors Underground. Okay. This guy trades completely fucking different than I've ever heard anyone say on my show. And but it's very cool. And it's a way that I've actually traded on my swing account that I never talked about. And because I just was like, is this really I just place trades based off of like what I've seen in the world, and like the way he explains it, I was like, that's how I swing. And I was like, that's so fucking brilliant. And he trades this way. And it's like, it's a cool episode, man. Like I can't wait till it goes live. It's just he uses, believe this or not, but like he'll use apps like TikTok, Instagram to determine what he wants to trade. And it's just so crazy, like how he like looks at like trends and stuff. It's just cool to hear. And I was like, what did you say? And I was like, I was like, okay. But it's just like everyone has their own way.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably, obviously there's a thing there. It's just I feel like I've thought about doing something like that. It's just one of those, like, you can't just think about it one day and then you kind of have to like continuously do it, because if you don't continuously do it, then you might miss the social media hype on whatever stock it is or isn't. I don't know if it's long or short, but I would assume it probably most of it's
long. Yep.
Yeah. So it's like, what's the Zach Morris dude talking about, or what's the, whatever's dude's with a bunch of following kind of thing talking about.
And he would, and because he first was all short until 2020, like around January, February, around March. In the interview, he says this. He's like, he started to realize that everything he shorted was not going down. Like it just wasn't working.
Yeah.
So he said, you know what, I'm gonna trade this. He said, I just need a long. And he was a swing trader primarily.
Okay.
So he's like, I need to start longing, but he hates longing because he's very fundamentals guy. He's a huge fundamental guy. And so he's like, I can't short anymore based off fundamentals because it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
He's like, I used to short things that, like those runners that just would run all day. I would short them comfortably and hold them for days and then cover at the bottom. And he's like, because the fundamentals were shit. I wouldn't care if it went against me. Like the way he traded, kind of like an old school Phil Godegaard kind of.
Yeah.
But Phil was more technical. And but then over time, he said, man, I got to start changing it up. And so he has this other way of trading that he explains. And it's just like, I was like, I love it. I was like, I freaking love it. I was like, and we play some of the same trades. Like we talked about it off camera, how I bought oil at like 15 or I forgot where it was. And then I sold it at like 35 and he did the same thing. And I was just like, and it was off the same idea. Like I was just, he just thinks about the world. Like, if all of a sudden COVID hits and no one can drive anymore, of course oil is going to drop. And then once there's some kind of clear sign that oil, that he's like looking at that kind of trends, like the world trends, TikTok trends, freaking
just hurricane season,
everything.
Buy wood kind of thing.
Yeah, like he's thinking like that and placing his trades that way. But he's swing trading, right? So it's not like nothing. Like some of the shit's not even moving, But like he's thinking, okay, like when I bought oil, although I was thinking that way, I still based my plan off of technicals. He doesn't do that. He's like, I don't care about technicals at all. He's like, and he said that technicals for him just never clicked. Like he just doesn't understand. He just doesn't believe it. And he feels like it doesn't really work for him ever. He's like, but what does work for him is he can short anything with fundamentals, but then he has to change. And now he's longing based off of trends, whether it's in the world, whether it's in, social media. And it's just wild. It's just wild. When I heard him say all that, because like he like some simple things that are easy to comprehend. It's like I bought cruise lines as soon as they were bottling him out. I started loading up whenever there was signs of a potential vaccine, and what happened? Everything just popped. Like it just makes sense. Like that all makes sense. Like I bought Love Field Southwest so many times, dude. So many times. I fucking like basically bomb ticked it, swinged it, just amazing, sold it. I swing that thing so many times from the lows. It's like I couldn't be wrong. And then Disney, same thing. Zoom, same thing. But I was just thinking like that. I was just thinking like, okay, like I wasn't even thinking like I trade day trading. I was just like, these, but I was using technicals too. I was like, these look like there's some key areas. If it breaks here with this trend, plus all of this shit happening in the world, I should long this. So I just bought some more and things were working. I felt like I was just lucky. But then when he comprehended it out loud, I was like, maybe it is a strategy. I was like,
man,
I thought I was
crazy,
just guessing,
Yeah. Dude, that's wild.
It is wild. But yeah, man, it's been cool, man, connecting with you, Eric. It's Eric.
For
right?
sure, dude. Yeah, it's Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been really cool, man. I really appreciate you just being part of the community and, watching this show. It means a lot to me, a lot. It really does, man. And I try my best to do as much as I can to help as many people as I can and to bring value. So, your feedback, if you ever have any, is very important to me. And then also, just, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you just taking the time to listen. I really,
dude, I appreciate just talking with somebody who is open-minded and just, enjoys trading. Like, you enjoy helping your buddy learn how to trade when you could just say, screw you, go figure it out on your own kind of thing,
Yeah.
Because most of the time, if you encounter somebody who's new, it's like all they do is talk about Robinhood and they talk about how much percentage they made. And it's like, dude, you just talking percents because nobody understands what the fuck you're talking about,
Yeah. I hate anyone. I don't hate any. Okay. I should say I despise, I don't like to conversate with people. I don't care if you're a successful trader or not, anybody, with people who just talk about, hey, man, I had a great day, I'm up X, or I had a great day, I'm up Y. And I don't care if that's percentage or money. Like, I don't know why that's always irked me. And I think it's irked me because really it's because what I'm trying to get away from it. I'm trying to get everyone away from that because I feel like that's the guru mentality. Like, it's easy to sell something when you just, when you paint a picture like that. Yeah. And so I think it's the wrong mentality because it's also a trap because it's like
you're saying everybody can do it.
Yeah, but not only that, but you're showing how you should judge yourself. And so new traders will think that's judgment. And so they don't realize that they made maybe $1,000 the completely wrong way, and there's so many wrong things to think about there where I'm always thinking about, why did you have a good day today? Like, did you trade well? Like when I talk to my buddy, Scott, he's like, I'd say he's an unclassified he's not really a mentor, but he's my mentor. We talk a lot, and he's been helping me a lot with his other style. And when I say help, there's a difference between helping and hey, this is how you trade, and there's one where we're just shooting the shit like this. Say, hey, what did you trade today? Like, I traded this. Why'd you trade? I trade because of this. Cool. That makes sense. Like that kind of conversation, and so that's helped a lot. And so what holy crap, I don't know why. Oh, so when we talk, I'm talking to him and dude, he's in a completely different league from me. And so I'm not asking him, what did you make today? I don't give two shits. I might have traded something way better than him today. And that's and that doesn't fucking matter either, as long as I trade it the right way that fits my process. So when he asked me questions what did you have a plan? Did you have a stop? Where were you risking? Why did you risk there? Why did you get out so soon? Why did you get out here? That makes sense. Okay, I can see why you got out. Just having conversations, that's important. And I think if I ever taught people for real, I would be teaching, and this is why I wouldn't do it. Because the only way you could do it is if you really want to help someone. If you going to sit down with them. When I have my buddy, he calls me every day now. He calls me every day and he's like, hey, okay, so what happens when this happens? Should I be thinking like this? And I want to help him. So I'm spend a fucking, look, dude, we've been talking for an hour. And I was talking to him for a long time, just actually helping him. Whereas I think that's how you help someone. You can always tell when someone wants to help you. There's a difference between a real mentor who wants to help you and someone who just wants money from you. And one who wants money from you is going to say things like, we already talked about that. Or you need to go watch a video I already made. I made tons of videos about that. Or I'll get back to you on that. Or it's simple, man. Just buy here, sell here. But they're like, yo, why are you thinking this way? What's making you think this way? Why do you think why do you think this is the right trade? I think a real person is asking you questions to make you think better and then giving you advice on why, okay, I see why you're thinking that way. Let me show you what I see. And then taking the time to explain, did you understand it? When Scott talks to me, he'd be like, well, let me show you what I see. And I'm like, all right, go ahead. And he'll show me, and we'll spend 30 minutes on one review, on one trade. Yeah. And that's why it's hard to really do it. It's just hard. And so anyway, It's
So your new way of trading is kind of like you got with Scott and he just confirmed your knowledge of technicals.
yes.
So that's
He confirmed.
essentially
Yes.
everything that you do now is based off what was underlying.
Always there. What
Yeah, it was always there, but it was behind a strategy that was systematic.
Yes.
And you never were able to do. Okay.
I was never able to explore. And even though I saw all of these different trades, I was like, oh my God, I want to take this, but it's not my pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would see, I got ran to Scott. He connected with me out of nowhere. Like, I don't know which episode it was, but he was like, hey man, I saw your show. I really liked it. And when you start talking, I thought he was at first I thought he was like some guy trying to get in my pockets. I really did. Like, I don't know who the fuck you are, like,
Yeah.
He messaged me on Discord. Like, I don't know how you found. I don't release any of my personal Discord shit. I don't have a channel, but I used to game with a lot of friends all the time, and he just messaged me on Discord out of nowhere, and I was like, "How'd you get my Discord channel? I mean, my name?" He was like, "Oh, I just found you," and he just started talking to me randomly. He's like, "Here, join my channel," and I said, "Oh no, man, I'm good." I was like, "I don't join chat rooms." He's like, "Okay, well, I just wanted to extend the invite." And then I appreciate that. And then I never was active. And then one day, like I was talking to, I don't know, he just messaged me every once in a while, and he's like, "How's things going?" And we started talking and just talking, shooting the shit. And then we started to build friendship. And then I started to realize, like, he was like, "What'd you trade today?" And we just started talking. I was like, "I traded this." And then I would realize I only traded one right at the time, and he traded like 8 tickers. Like, he's a madman. And I used to think he was an idiot. I used to be like, "Yo, man, like, you need to slow down." Like, I was like, that's not good.
Yeah.
That was when I was like very closed-minded. And then he showed me what he traded. And everything he showed me, it was always at the end of the day. I watched all those during the day. And I was watching them, and I even thought, like, man, I would really love to trade this here or this one here. And then he did all those. And I was like, holy crap. And I would talk to him like, "Yo, man, like, no joke. I was thinking about trading every single one of those that way, but I don't, because I'm always trading only this." And then he's like, "Dude," he's like, "you see the patterns." He's like, "You see the technicals." He's like, "You should try to slowly branch out and try new things." And so that's when I start to slowly branch out. And I started first with paper trading on a different account, right? My real account with my way, and then this way. And I was like, "Oh, okay, I got it." And I was like killing it. And then I went to a real account with regular size. I fucking got murdered. I was like, I got overzealous. I got overconfident. So then I went back to a paper on the other one, found some consistency. And then now I'm trading this new way in a small account, just trading it and trying to get it better. And then now I'm going to transfer it to my real account and just trade it. So I'm almost there to the real account to go normal size again. But I'm taking my time now with this new strategy, because it's showing me that he's basically helped me get the confidence to be like, "You know what you're doing, Alex. You just need more confidence in yourself." Really, that's really what it is.
How did you? So you went from your old way to the new way. Obviously, paper trading is like easy. You just throw it out there and see what happens. But how did you, like? You know how the moment before you see something occurring and it's like, damn, I should get in this, and then there's like bitch voice that's inside you that's like, no, you shouldn't do that. Like, how are you overcoming that to basically get you into that? You know what I'm kind of asking?
Do you mean like,
so like on DTSS today, let's just say. So like, if you're your old way, let's say you would have been wanting to short that. How did you, I guess this is more of like a mentality thing. Like, how did you become so like, I should get in this and I'm going to get in this. Whereas your old mindset would have been, that looks pretty good, but no, fuck that, because, whatever reason, right?
For me, I think it's a lot of things. I think it started with starting back into a paper account with the new way first, right? Because in that paper account, I was longing. And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And I was shorting. I was learning what was working, what wasn't. Dude, I did a paper account, I think, for a 1 month, then went real. We then went back for 2 months, and I was like, okay, I feel good. Then I've been cash again with this new way, and I was like, man, but then I sized down dramatically, and to where it didn't matter, but it still mattered. Like it didn't matter in terms of I had the challenge. I still do sometimes. The challenge of it didn't matter monetarily. It mattered if I was wrong though. That's still tough for me. So, but I've gotten way better at that because I've realized that, dude, I've just seen it so many times now because the way I trade now, it's not like I'm trading one trade or 4 trades an entire week. Dude, every day, almost every day, a slow day is 4 or 5 trades. And sometimes a busy day is like 8. And not because I'm looking to force trades. Like my entries are fucking fire now. You know, like they're great entries. So it's like, and I'm not chasing. And so like, it's more of, I have just over time, I still do it sometimes. I still fucking like today was a big accomplishment on DTSS. It's a big accomplishment because I short and then reversed. Like that's hard to do for me. And so especially when I saw like everything lining up, I was like, oh my gosh, should be long this. It's too late. I should just cover. Like I was thinking I'll just cover. And then I was like, no, I need to long this. And so I just put enough shares to cover and long. Okay. And I was like, all right, I'm in it. But I think first off, I've seen enough times where I thought I should have been in it and I didn't do it and it was pissing me off. And then the other side of it is I said, you know what, Alex, really, I had a year of consistency and with my way of trading, right? And then in that year, I traded the new way too and lost some, but I was still consistent overall. I was like, okay, that shows me that I have really good fucking risk management, period.
Right.
I know how to trade. And it's good to have someone who's traded for like 20 years to be like, dude, you know how to fucking trade. Like, you know how to hold, like the one thing that he says that is really good is I don't hold anything like if against my plan.
Oh yeah.
You always cut if it cuts your risk. And I was like, yeah. So he's like, don't worry about it. So he's like, you got to be willing to take these shots so that way you can build that confidence. And so I've just been forcing it, man, because like this is the year now. Like to me, this is my year to nail this strategy down and become me. Like this is me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so I've already had a year that consistency really helped me with that confidence. So now it's like, okay, I know I have a strategy that works no matter what, so I can easily make money there. But I want to trade this way because I know this way, if I wanted to, which I'm never going to want to do anymore. But if I wanted to, I can only trade for income. And that's not what I want anymore. What I want, because I think God's helped me a lot where I've had the opportunity because of the show where I've been able to do a lot of things and I have multiple sources now. Like I have multiple sources. And so now I'm just thinking, why don't trading just be a 6th source of income? You know what I'm saying? No. Like, and because why would I replace it? Why would I replace 4 with 1?
Right.
Have all of them. And so, and trading doesn't take, I mean, this new way does take some time. I'm usually done by 10:30 Central Time. So still not that much time. So I'm saying like at the end of the day, I don't think I answered your question really. I think the answer is I just forced myself and I downsized enough. And I just basically say, you know what, Alex, I don't need this money. Really. I don't. And at the end of the day, the only way I'm going to make this happen is if I fucking do it. And I have to do it. And it helps that, you know what's helped me a lot is focusing on whatever mistake I made today. Like, no, I know it's simplified, but like, for example, when I started this new way of trading, my old way, I could kill stocks. If I show you my old charts, you'll see top ticks and ride all the way down. Top ticks, ride all the way down. That's all I did. I just knew how to trade it. I've seen it so many times. I don't even look for that anymore. But now I'm just like, at first, this new style, I was like, okay, I know how to draw my technicals. I know where the areas to size in at. But now it's a new way to trade. At first, I had to kind of relearn how to enter on this style of trading. I was like, okay, I need to enter right at the support line. And that was hard at first, like because it was a long. I hated longing. Right. So I was like, I got a long right here. And it's because I was challenged with being wrong, right? Because immediately you could be wrong and you're wrong right away, which is good. but it hurts.
Right.
And so,
It does.
because you're wrong, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I just fucking got in, you know, so. And then the other thing was I was like, okay, so I started working on that. Scott was like, hey man, like I was like, hey man, I told him I was like, hey man, I'm just gonna really work on entry, and I mean that's all I'm gonna work on. So that's all I worked on for about a week, and dude, it didn't even take a week. It took like 2-3 days. And he was like, yo, like all my entries since then have been spot on, period. And then I was like, okay, cool. What's my challenge now? Because I'm just making a little bit. I'm like a little bit. I was like green. I was like, okay, cool. Like I don't focus on that, but I was just like, okay, cool. Like things are good, but there's some tweaks I need to make. And then it was like, okay, sometimes I drew the wrong trend line. Sometimes I drew. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna focus on that. Like for some reason, sometimes I'm off. So then I started only thinking about that and really focus on that. And I've improved on that. And then the next week, this week right now, what I've been working on is I feel like are the finishing touches is because there's opportunity every day is making sure that I squeeze the trigger on every single one and not just because like sometimes I'll see 5 and I'll be like, I'll take these 2, but not this one. And I need to just squeeze it every time. And so like, that's something I'm working on right now, no matter what. If I see 5 setups and they all set up, I need to be in every single one. Like, don't even hesitate. And that's what I'm doing now, which I've already improved on that. It's not hard for me anymore because I think I've been training for so long. Like, but the hardest part was realizing that's what I need to focus on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like in making a commitment saying, I'm only going to do this. And so like, that's all I'm doing now, along with, I guess I'm always going to be working on this, but along with taking profits not too soon. I think I'm always working on that, but rather than that, that's it. but yeah, so that like it's just one thing at a time, really. Like if you feel like you're trying to do something and you're trying to enter a price and you're like, God, I see it, but I never enter. Maybe on your normal way of trading, just trade your normal size, and then the ones that you see, just trade fucking 10 shares. You know what I'm saying? Like just who gives a fuck? Just be in it. You know, and be like, cool. And then sell it in small pieces how you normally would if you had 1,000 shares, 2,000 shares. So that way you can train. That's what I did, dude. Like I trained I kept my mind trained as if I was trading big size because I knew if I keep trading this way, even if at the end of the day, I would lose money because I trade through DAS and Cobra, where if I trade small size, it doesn't matter if I make any money or not. I'm paying for every fucking entry and exit. You know what I'm saying? So it's not E-Trade. So I didn't care about making money. I just cared about execution. And so as long as I execute right, okay, cool. Well, when this is 1,000 shares, this would have been great. If this was 10,000 shares, this would be phenomenal. So like all that mattered to me was if I had, let's just say I had 10 shares, then I would sell 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, and or 3, 3, 4, you know, like I'll be done. And I didn't care about the outcome per se, but more so when I looked at the chart, did I trade that right? Were my executions on point? And if the answer was yes, that gave me so much confidence. I just kept doing that. So therefore, it became more of a game rather than a game of execution rather than a game of what's in my pocketbook. Does that make sense?
Yep. That makes sense.
So that really helped me. And it sucked too at first because I was so against sizing down. I was like, I finally found consistency. I finally found what's working. And now all of a sudden, why do I have this itch to try a new way to trade? And I was like, and so at first I traded that way with full size, dude. I was like, fuck it, I can do this. And no, like if you're trying to change your style up, you got to relearn. Like it doesn't take longer to relearn like it did the first time, but you still got to relearn everything. You do. Like you got to relearn how to enter in this way. You got to get that confidence back. And I think Tim Grattani talks about this all the time. I was talking to him and he was like, he was learning a couple of new strategies. One of them was after like an overextension first red day, a recover. Like he was learning this new long. Like he's been learning new longs, and that's hard for him. He's like, he sucks at it, but he's gotten good at it now. But he downsized, dude. He downsized. I think he downsized to, and for him, this is basically me going down 10 shares. Like this was like his max size or dollar risk was $1,000.
Oh fuck.
And we're talking about a guy whose normal size when he was just regular trading was 10 grand for 1R loss. So he downsized by 10 times.
Yeah.
And he went from months that he thought a week of making 30, 40K in a week was an okay week to being lucky. And he did this just last year. That's why he went silent. He went for a month that if he made 20K, 30K, it was fun. It would be like a big stretch. Like, oh my God. But he humbled himself. He's always been a humble ass motherfucker.
Yeah.
But he downsized that much to recalibrate his trading for both shorts and long, because he started to do, he had to adjust. Mm-hmm. And I was like, holy shit. Like when I heard that, I was like, yo, man, like, you got to like, I don't care who you are. If you're trying something different, you gotta fucking downsize. You do, right? Because if you don't, dude, you think you have. It took you a while to have confidence with the way you trade, but right. I bet you if you go trade what I'm trading today, and we go trade together, like, hey, I'm entering here, and you try to enter there, you're gonna have a little bit more nervousness than me.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's like, do you enter on the bounce of the trend line? Do you enter after the bounce confirms on the trend line?
Right.
If then it's like, what if I enter on the bounce and then it fucking flushes 40 cents, because that's usually what fucking happens. And then I'm like, fuck, I'm stuck down 40 cents, you know?
Yes. And I think, and that's what I used to be like. I used to be like that. And now I just learned that, like, over time, you learn how to size in, you learn, you know, with that trade DTSS, like the only reason I took that long is because we had like confluence. I had like a support, I had a trend line, I had VWAP, I had so much that there were so many people buying right there. That even if it broke it, it might flush a little bit, but not too much. And I'm going to size for the flush in mind. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So even if it did flush, I'm still going to be okay, and I won't panic. And I can still cut without question. But if it did barely break, then I make it even smaller loss. I'm like, all right, cool, I'm good. You know, like, so you can enter, because if you're right on DTSS, like it did, it fucking just squeezed right away. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's just, I'll just say, man, just downsize whatever strategy you're trying to do, whatever it is, downsize dramatically where it doesn't fucking matter. In fact, you might lose money even when you're right. That's what I was doing. And I was like, man, I would be like, yo, I was up $1 on this stock, but I lost money, you know, like, but I didn't care, because I mean, I'm over here preaching to all my community that it's not about profit, it's about process. And if you focus on process, then you can grow. And that's what's happening to me. Like, I'm growing as a trader. Like, I'm no longer I used to only trade gap ups, overextended gap downs. And first red day is oversimplifying it, but kind of like a first red day pattern. And that's it. That's all I traded. And I'm like, I felt like I was in a box. And now I feel more like a real trader, where I'm just trading what I see, and there's always opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's always opportunity. And you read Market Wizards, you watch any of my interviews, every single one, any interview, chat with traders, guys, you'll realize there's thousands of ways to trade. There's so many, it's like, and you know what's funny, dude? I shorted PLUG today at $68, and Scott longed it today at like $64.50 or something. And we did the complete opposite, and we both made money. So like, that's what I'm saying. There's so many ways to trade.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't see this as a long at fucking all. But he did, but I saw as a short at 68. So I shorted it, you know? So like, it was just like, it was like that whole, and we talked later today, and I was like, yo, man, he's like, we're just talking about what we traded. And I said, I shorted plug today. I didn't tell him the price yet. And as I shorted plug today, he's like, really? He's like, you too? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I shorted it too, but I longed it first. And I was like, you longed it? Where the fuck did you long it? And he told me where, in the 64.50 area. And I was like, no, man, I didn't short it until it got all the way up to 68. And that's where he flipped his long, sold it. And he's really,
Jesus Christ.
The fact that this guy can, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, when I start to talk to people who can long and short on the same fucking stock and make on both, I was like, dude, there's And we see it all the time. Like you see stocks where you short and you're like, it's a great short. And then you cover it all and you're like, and what happens? It bounces and it
Yeah.
keeps going higher. And you're like, I had a great cover. What you should have said is I had a great long, you know, like that, like we see it all the time as a trader. Like the longer you trade, you see that happen. And you're like, you probably thought it too. You're like, damn, what if I would have long there? You know, like it's just so. I mean, he's at a different level, right? Like he's been training, like I said, I think 20 years. So like, I mean, that's head over heels over you and me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, just imagine this is something we're learning over time. And I'm just thankful that like, you know, you and I probably are way ahead of him. I know we are in terms of age or experience because, maybe we've learned from the internet and we had things that he didn't have. Like he was, back in his days, I mean, he's in his 50s. There was the internet would just start coming around when he already is finally finding his success,
Yeah.
So, there's that. But I think at the end of the day, I don't, all I know is that if you want to try it, man, just downsize a lot. And then just give it a go and just only look at your chart with the triangles. If you have that or something where it just shows you executions and just think about, did I execute well? And that's it. Like, was it a good entry? Was it good exits? That's all I need to worry about.
Yeah.
And not what was the actual outcome. And then if you keep doing that, as long as I think like that and you think like that, dude, you'll trade well and you'll continue to trade well. Cause then you'll start asking, like you said earlier, where am I wrong? And then get out there.
Right.